All right, so let me tell you a story before I roll on through this presentation. Now, if you're saying an 18-wheeler after that, that'll really impress me. In 1889, Edouard and André Michelin started a tire business in France. They were among the first to release air-filled pneumatic, or first to produce air-filled pneumatic tires. Oops, sorry. And they quickly realized that their future was dependent on the success of the automobile. The problem was, at that time, there were only around 3,000 automobiles in France, and most people thought they were a novelty and only drove on Sundays. This created a challenge for the Michelin brothers, and they realized they needed to encourage people to drive more to wear out their tires. So in 1900, the Michelin brothers decided to create a traveling guide. The first edition of the Michelin Guide contained an array of practical information. It had a list of mechanics, gas stations, maps, and important information like instructions on how to repair your tire. They printed 35,000 copies and gave them out free of charge. In 1920, André Michelin visited one of his distributors. It's always the distributors. And he noticed that one of their travel guides was being used as a prop to raise one of the workbenches. And this prompted André to charge for all subsequent issues of the travel guide. And he said, "Man only respects what he pays for." That same year, they made a significant addition to the travel guide. They started listing restaurants and Parisian hotels, and circulation jumped up to 155,000 copies. In 1926, the first one-star dining system was created. And by the mid-1930s, they employed the famous 3-star Michelin rating. Now, 1 star meant a very good restaurant, worth stopping for. 2 stars meant excellent cooking, worth a detour. 3 stars meant exceptional cuisine, worth a special trip. Now, notice the special language around travel. To this day, restaurants and hotels that boast the Michelin star rating are very proud of that rating. The Michelin Guide covers over 20 countries across 4 continents, and all this began by a tire company that wanted to promote travel to increase their business. Okay. I just want to credit this story to Terry O'Reilly, who's a host on CBC Radio. He releases shows called The Age of Persuasion and the Under the Influence. He's also author of books, How Marketing Ate Our Culture and This I Know. Okay. The title of my presentation is about a framework for translating business requirements into technical requirements. My name is Troy Martin. I'm fascinated by the world of commerce, specifically sales and marketing and the art of persuasion. One of my regrets in life is I was 1 term away from completing a philosophy degree, but I was called out to work to make money, and if I need to, I can think deep thoughts about unemployment for no cost. So getting into your design, you want to gather requirements, right? So you can start asking questions of your customers. Maybe they can provide you this information already. Things like, what do you need? And they say, well, we want fast Wi-Fi. So you're talking NAICS 65 dBm? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That means nothing to me, okay? Your customers do not understand what NAICS 65 dBm means. They just understand fast Wi-Fi. Other things they're looking for is they want stable Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi that doesn't drop, okay? And then you need to translate that into some type of technical requirement. You may try ask them what the LCMI is, and again, they'll give you blank looks. They don't understand what that means. They want all of their devices connect. Why is one more special than the other? Again, you have to coach and educate them through that exercise. You may get feedback from a customer that says, hey, we want to automate a process. Okay? Or we want to add machine learning and artificial intelligence. We heard that those are very exciting things. Okay? Now, all those questions and the answers that I just presented, those are all functional requirements. Okay? A classic indicator of a functional requirement is something that states the system shall do this, or that the software shall perform this task. Okay? Those are all functional requirements that are important, but before we get to the functional requirements, we need to define the business requirements, understand what the purpose of the business is. Okay? And if we do a bad job of that, we'll end up something like this, where we end up with faster horses. Okay? Henry Ford is also credited with saying, you can use any channel you want on 2.4 gigahertz as long as it's 1, 6, or 11. Right. One of the other things you want to do is ask why. This is one of the most overlooked questions that Wi-Fi engineers skip as part of their design process, or anyone who's technical tends to skip this question quite a lot. Okay? Answering this question allows us to step back in our design and take a bigger look and look at different technologies, different hammers that are available to solve the customer's business requirements and tackle what the purpose of their business is. Right? So we've already heard a presentation that Ferné just provided about AWL. We heard from Milan about UWB, and Stephen Cooper's going to go deeper into UWB, the ultra-wideband stuff later in the week. There's many talks that are already on the schedule talking about CBRS. We'll hear from Andrew, Bob Friday, and Jamal will talk about different CBRS techniques and design practices. Okay, so business purposes. Okay. Customers never want the product that you're selling. As sad as it is to hear from some of the SEs in the room, customers aren't interested in your product. They're interested in your solution or the benefit that your product will provide. So some examples of this: people don't buy 3 1/4 inch drills. People buy 3 1/4 inch holes. Okay? Jack Daniels isn't in the whiskey business. It's in the sensual pleasure business. Starbucks, I know there's a lot of coffee fans in here. Starbucks isn't in the coffee business. It's in the coffee theater business. Okay? Exceltex isn't in the antenna business, it's in the aesthetics business. Okay? And also, the last one here, people do not buy site survey software. They buy RF immersion experiences. Okay? So a list of some of the business requirements or questions that you'd like to answer are things that involve the process. These are necessary tasks that the business needs to perform to stay in business. Okay, they tend to be more general. They're not very specific, but they're kind of guiding principles, right? So answering those questions will help you identify the business requirements that then drives what your functional requirements are. Okay. So Apple isn't in the computer business; it's in the personal empowerment business. Okay. And going back to Michelin tires, Michelin's not in the tire business, they're in the safety business. Their old slogan, because so much is riding on your tires, it was a really powerful message, emphasized the business that they're actually in, and it created an emotional response, an emotional connection between them and their customer. Right? And if you can provide that, then you've done an excellent job in identifying the purpose of your business and what its business requirements are. Okay? So just an overview of how we can walk through this workflow. The first step is identifying the purpose. Okay? That's the why. Why is your business there? What is it trying to provide for customers out in the environment? Once you've identified the purpose, now you can start to identify the business requirements that enable you to meet those purposes of your business. And if you've successfully done that, or a very good job of identifying those requirements, then you can identify the functional requirements. Okay? So simply put, if you can answer these 3 questions, the why, the what, and the how, this will lead you to a design that's meeting all of your customer requirements. And your solution may blow their mind, something completely different from what they're expecting. Now, this slide that you guys see that's up here, there's a lot of different ways this can be interpreted, and a lot of debate that can happen as a result of this. But if you've done a bad job identifying what your business does, if you've skipped over the business requirement steps and you didn't know what questions to properly ask in the functional requirement steps, use these numbers. If you've gone through the 3 previous steps and identified that information, these numbers are completely open to change. Okay? This is just the last stop as a guideline that you have. Some customers, some people I work with ask, what do we need to design for? If we want to skip all those other steps, this is where we can end up. On the last slide, I just want to point out and remind you guys that Wi-Fi design is driven by art, powered by science. Okay? I think Peter McKenzie nailed it by linking magic to Wi-Fi, and Arthur Clarke summarized it quite well when he said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Thank you.